Hello, Westminster. My name is Boyd Taylor, and I'm here to talk about the Resident Association's new venture, the Westminster Writers' Journal, and visit with one of its contributors. The Writers' Journal is a platform for creative expression, whether poetry, nonfiction, memoirs, or fiction, by Westminster residents. And the inaugural edition is now on sale at the Little Store and is also on sale from editorial board members and on Amazon. 33 Westminster residents have contributed to the inaugural edition, and my guest today is one of them, Jim Simons. Hello, Jim. How are you doing today?
Not too bad for a Monday.
We have to look at the schedule every day to know what day it is.
Even though I've been retired for 10 years, I still hate Mondays.
Yeah, that's a lifetime habit, isn't it? So how are you two managing during these strange times?
They are strange. We're doing the best we can. We get tired of the apartment sometimes. We, want to go to a movie or do something else. But this too will pass, I'm told.
Yes, it will. We'll get through it. We're lucky to be here. I'm always have to compliment the staff for their cheerful attitude and the great service they give to us and making us comfortable and safe.
They are real good.
And before we begin, I also want to thank Nancy through you for her work on the journal. The layout and especially the cover have gotten really high reviews from everybody that's looked at it. So I hope you'll thank her for us.
Well, I love the book cover.
And also, I want to thank you for your contribution of a really interesting work of fiction. But before we get to that, let's talk a little bit about you. Where did you grow up, Jim?
Waco in Dallas. I lived in Waco for the first 5 years of public school. Then my parents moved to Dallas. We lived in Oak Cliff, and I lived in Dallas until I finished public school.
So you graduated high school in Dallas?
Right.
And then you found your way down to Baylor for a while, is that right?
Yeah, I went to SMU the first year.
Oh, you did, to SMU. Yeah, you were
first year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then to Baylor.
And to Baylor, right. And then to UT. So when
it has a happy ending. I believe you told me that you got a debate scholarship at Baylor.
Right. Professor Cap, wonderful debate coach, gave me a full scholarship. I was able to do my sophomore year there. Then I was able somehow, I don't remember how, to go to the UT on the third as a junior, I guess.
And you finished up your bachelor's work at UT then?
Whenever people ask me where I went to college, I usually just say I-35.
Well, you didn't make all of the Southwest Conference schools, but
I tried to.
You made a dent in it. And what was your undergraduate?
It's interesting.
What was your undergraduate work in? Did you take a degree in?
I had a major in English and philosophy.
English and philosophy. Yeah. Well, that should.
These subjects don't get you very far in the market, the job market, but I didn't really care. I got a great education and I loved being in college.
You don't see a whole lot of ads in the paper for philosophy degrees, but there's probably one every now and then. But you were going to law school.
I did. And actually, law school early on a combined degree program
Yeah.
at the University of Texas.
And what year did you get out of UT Law School?
I graduated in 1965.
So
Was actually,
Dean Keaton still there? He was, I guess.
I'm sorry,
Was Dean Keaton still there?
I still didn't hear you.
Was Paige Keaton still dean when you were in law school?
And for the entire time I was in law school, and then of course they've had a whole bunch of deans since then. I
Yeah,
don't even know.
but he was a remarkable guy. So well, you got out of law school, passed the bar, I assume, and went to work for the Office of Equal Opportunity. Is that correct?
Yeah, I started though working for a lawyer in Pasadena. I had friends in Houston, so I got a job with this lawyer in private practice, and from there I went to the city attorney's office. I was the assistant city attorney. There was only one assistant, so that was me.
You got to do the work.
So then I got this great job of working for the federal government OEO.
And where was that? Where was that office? Were you were you in Texas or were you in Washington?
In Texas, right in Austin.
In Austin.
The guy that interviewed me said there are two drawbacks to this job. You have to do a lot of writing and a lot of traveling. And I said, sign me up. It was a great job. I had 5 states in the region.
Yeah.
But my boss was in Washington, D.C., even though my office was in the regional office here in Austin.
Well, that was the early days of the OEO.
Yeah, that was the early times when everybody was very idealistic and energized, and things went really well for a while.
How long were you there?
2 years.
Well, you saw a lot, I'm sure. And so when you left the OEO, is that when you went into private practice?
It is, yeah. I started private practice the first day of 1968 in Austin, and actually I was a solo practitioner at that time.
That's I would say that's hard. That's hard work.
It was hard. I was lucky because I don't know if I was lucky or not, but I had a large number of cases right away because of student activism on the campus and all the arrests that occurred and other legal problems. I got a lot of work that way.
This was in the 60s?
It was.
Yeah. The protest days.
Things were popping.
Yeah. You have a case, or you have a memory or two you'd share with us?
What's that?
I say, do you have a memory or two of that you'd share with us?
Let me think what I could. My first case, I could talk about that.
Tell us about that.
I was retained by a young man who faced the draft. He was drafted and went to San Antonio to be sworn in, inducted, and refused induction. So they indicted him, and we tried the case in San Antonio, where he declined to be inducted. So I didn't know a thing about the draft laws. When he came in and wanted to retain me, and I told him, I've been doing other things. I don't know anything about the draft law, but he wanted me to handle the case, and his parents put up a retainer, so I did it. And the amazing thing is that we won the case.
You won the case. What was the defense? What was his defense?
Okay, I filed a pretrial motion and raised a whole bunch of issues. The ultimate issue that caused us to win the case was sort of a technical issue about the draft board trying to do something when the case had already gone on appeal. They didn't have jurisdiction to do it. So the case was the case, and I think my client might have been a little bit disappointed because they win the case on the
On technicality.
or,
He was ready to make a statement.
so anyway, I did a lot of research in the case, and I did from that time on. I was considered an expert in draft law. Because there weren't any big people around here or anywhere near here doing it. And I've always said that an expert is one who has one case and wins, and then you're an expert.
Well, that sounds like a qualification for me. That's great. And so if anybody, well, when did the draft end? It didn't end till after they were drafting all through the Korean War. I mean, the Vietnam War, I guess.
It ended in 1973.
73, yeah.
5 years later.
And there went a bunch of your cases, huh?
I wasn't too sorry about that, but
I guess not.
a lot of those guys couldn't bust their fees, and so we did the best we could to handle what we could handle.
Yeah.
Well,
that's really an interesting background. And so at the same time, you were taking other civil rights cases.
Yes. The one that comes to mind is the EEOC law that outlawed the discrimination on race, sex, national origin. And I don't think at that time age was in there, but I had a series of those civil rights cases involving employment. And again, the law had just been passed in '65. And so I think I filed the first case here in Austin and perhaps in the Western District of Texas. I had a woman who was a reporter at the Austin Statesman. I don't think there was a no disclosure and agreement then, so I can talk about it. But she was fired, we think, or I thought, and she thought, principally because her boyfriend, live-in boyfriend, was a black guy. And we were lucky to find a lot of other kind of much seedier situations. This wasn't a seedy thing. I mean, it's just controversial at that time.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of other people that worked as reporters there who had done what I thought were much worse things in public. And so we had a nice trial on the case, but it didn't last very long. They offered to settle it, and we did.
Yeah, they weren't really wanting to have to write that story up in the newspaper, were they? So, well, that sounds like a very challenging and interesting career. What year did you retire?
Well, I'll say that the road to retirement was, in a kind of different situations. I took on one law partner after 2 years, and then two others after 2 more years, and finally there were 5 or 6 of us who were partners in this law firm. I was a senior partner, and we practiced together for 7 or 8 years in Austin, and then one of the guys that was my partner and I established a 2 lawyer firm, and continued to practice in Austin. And then he retired to become an actor and a musician. 90, so the last, I guess, 18 years, I was back to being a sole practitioner. That was in 2008 when I retired.
When you finally retired in 2008. Yeah. Okay. And so when did you and Nancy move to Westminster?
We moved here in September of 2018.
Yeah. Yeah. And so why did you choose Westminster?
Um, we we were interested in staying in Austin for one thing, being among Austin people. We've lived here. I've lived here 60 years now, and Nancy's lived here almost that long. And we wanted to be in Austin. We wanted to be in Central Austin, and that the geography was really important. We lived in just west of Tarrytown, and a couple of exits down on Mopac from here. But I guess the other reason is that we like the selling point, which was a continuum of care throughout the stages that you might be going through. So we neither one. We have two children, but they are both long grown and even old themselves now. They live in other states, so we didn't feel like if something happened to disable us, that we would want our children to have to deal with that when they have their own children now. A lot of things going on there. We didn't want them to have to come down here and do anything for us.
Well,
So
I think that's not an uncommon story, and it's the case with my wife and me also. So, well, we're glad you made that choice, and we're glad you're here with us. Turning now to your story, have you been writing fiction very long?
yeah, I wrote this piece, this short story, exactly as it appears now, 56 years ago.
Really?
I
What year
took
would that be?
before I took the bar exam, and that's been
56 years ago, so that's
so.
64 or something like that.
I had written other stories, other fiction before I did that. Uh, Now I had much more restrictive life and scheduling, as a lawyer. So I wrote them from time to time, some things from time to time over the years. I didn't submit this story or any other one that I wrote to any place for publication. So this is the publication of I'm a freshman at this.
Well, that's great. So it's been locked up somewhere ever since you wrote it, and so when you got it out and read it, how did it seem?
Surprisingly, I liked it a lot.
I liked it too.
And I don't know, that my life was so different back then, but no, I still liked it. I read it and even enjoyed reading it. So it was one of 10 or 12 that I wrote, but and then I ventured into the fearsome land of novels. I wrote a novel, complete novel, and no publisher has ever seen it because I couldn't find an agent. I looked for a long time. So it's still waiting for some kind of break.
Well, times have changed now, so writers can publish without agents. I can't say you can sell any books, but you can publish. But so maybe we'll see some more of this this treasure trove as in future editions. So this book is this story is called North Beach, 1964, And we have viewers who may not know what is North Beach. So can you tell them what's North?
North Beach is an area just out of Corpus Christi. I think it's part of Corpus Christi now, but it's a big beach that has a long history of being one thing and then another, and then another, going back to its original incarnation. I don't know. That's the best definition I can give. It's right outside the bridge, right past the bridge. Now there are condos all over the place, so it's nothing like it was when I wrote this story.
This story, it was set in 1964, and North Beach was in a period of decline. It had passed its prime. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if you'd read some of the intro of this story for us.
Okay, I will tell you that I'm not too good at that, but I will read it. I'll read the first paragraph, which it kind of sets the stage. Years earlier, I remembered she had sat there on this very beach in the middle of an August night, looking intensely out at the bay. The night waves lapped around us, and the sand was cool on our legs, and there was no one else in sight. The concessions were long closed. Swimmers had gone home across the giant bridge into town. We walked quietly for several hours. Conversation had seemed profound. All I can remember now is once, after a long silence, while we both looked far out into the bay and watched the waves following each other into the shore, she said, "I can see why a person would write poems here." At the time, it had seemed very profound, a very profound statement. I think it was because the sound of the bay, the waves coming in from the Gulf with gushing cadence, and there was a summer moon. First paragraph.
Thank you for that, and I hope our readers will finish that story and read it with the same kind of pleasure that I had when I read it. So I want to thank you for being here today. And as I said, we hope to see more of your fiction in future editions of the Writer's Journal.
I will submit.
Okay.
Thank you for starting this and giving some of us old writers a chance to, put our work forward.
Well, it's been our pleasure, I guarantee you. And now to all of you watching out there, the Writer's Journal is now available at the little store, $15 for the regular edition, $17.50 for the large print edition. You can use your fob and put the purchase on your Westminster account if you prefer. Or if you prefer to buy with a check, you can call Mike Roach or Lori Humphreys and they will bring you a copy. Both editions and an ebook version are also available on Amazon. And remember that our ability to put out a fall edition depends on the sale of this edition. So we encourage you to buy one, buy several. They're great gifts. You'll be glad you did. So this is Boyd Taylor saying thanks again to Jim Simons for being here today. And thanks to all of you Westminster residents for tuning in. See you soon. Stay safe.